So let's figure out what it is. Let's evaluate this. Now we get the code part. So this is all the explanation and how did we do it. And now I want code. So I had a code block that was in here when I started the Google Colab notebook, and so I'm going to use that. We're going to have to do a square root, and we're going to have to square some numbers, and we're going to have to define what those numbers are. So square root is not something that's built into Python, so I have to import that function into my I'm writing a little program in Python here. And the square root function comes from the math library. So I would write the very first line of my program is going to be from math import sqrt. Now in Python I don't use that little backward slash before the sqrt. Python is just the name. You don't use the backslash first. That's my first line. And now I want to define some of those facts or constants that I'm going to use. For example, h equals 20. And I can space over here and type a hashtag. In Python, hashtag is a way of inserting a comment. And so the comment is I want to say what this h represents. This represents viewing height in meters. And then the second line, I want to define the distance from the Burj to Iran along the surface of the Earth. That was an uppercase D, and that was 160,000. And in Python, you don't need, I don't think you can put a comma there. It's just going to be 160,000. And a space over, put a hashtag. This represents the distance to Iran in meters. And now the math is going to be, I'm going to calculate that uppercase L, the viewing distance, or the seeing length or something like that. L equals, and now I'm going to write a mathematical expression. I want to do the square root of h squared plus d squared. So I start by saying sqrt, that does the square root function. And now in Python I don't use curly braces, just to confuse you. I go ahead and use the round braces. Python generally uses round braces for most things. And inside that, I'm going to say h squared. And here's another difference. Python, when you square a number, you use the double asterisk, or when you raise a number to a power. So h raised to the power of 2 is going to be h asterisk asterisk 2 plus d asterisk asterisk 2. And then the closing parenthesis. And then finally I want to show the result, so I'll say print. It's a special function in Python. And then parenthesis, round parenthesis, uppercase L. Okay, so there's my complete Python program for calculating the solution to this problem. To see the distance along that hypotenuse anyway. And if I want to run my program, I click on the little play button here. And the first time you do this, there may be a brief pause while it gets its head together. And there's the answer. 160,000 meters, 0.00. So it's like a little more than 1 millimeter longer than the horizontal distance. So that just goes to show when you have a very, very, very skinny right triangle, the hypotenuse is almost exactly, just a little bit longer than the longest leg. Okay. So now I'm going to use that. I'm going to make some kind of a conclusion. What do I conclude from that? I'm going to add a text cell below this. And I'm going to put a double hashtag conclusion because I'm writing text now in a text cell. The sight or seeing distance from the viewpoint on the Burj to the coast of Iran is approximately 160,000 meters or 160 kilometers. Is this too far to see? Well, I can see the moon at night. The moon is way farther away than 160 kilometers. So if I can see the moon, I darn well ought to be able to see 160 kilometers away. Since the moon is farther than 160 kilometers, and I can see the moon, it must be true that I can see the coast of Iran from 20 meters high on the Burj Khalifa. Okay, there's my answer, there's my analysis. If I click out of here, I now click out of here. How do I think I can do Command Enter? No, Control Enter, something like that. Click, click, click somewhere else. There we go. Okay, I clicked out of the cell. So I've got my complete document. I've got the question I'm trying to answer. I got my sources and facts. I have my method described. I got a picture of the method to help illustrate it. I've got some math that's been written out using LaTeX code, and I've got some Python code for calculating the answer. And I've taken the result of that calculation and I've written something about it and made a conclusion that answers the original question. So I've done some great stuff here. Actually, my model stinks, and I'm going to show you why in a minute.